From the top of Hawk Hill to the planet. Radio 1851.
Call it how it is. Hendrix. I promise I swear. On every bit. Yo, Percocet, Miley Percocet, Miley Percocet.
See, there you go.
A good one. That's 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row for a good song. We don't promote those things, but, you know, we promote good music. What's up, everybody? Jeez, I can't speak today. Welcome back to Rambling Sports. My name is Lutz. South Philly Bill here is on my left. We have no guests today, so I guess we're going to be talking by ourselves, Bill. We've done it before.
We've done it before.
We've
succeeded.
We have succeeded.
We got some requests of what to talk about today, so I think we'll do all right.
Well, of course, requests from you fine fans out there. The like 30 or 40 of you, whoever listen live, but could also listen on to our YouTube channel. That's right. We still have YouTube audio. The audio did not work last week for whatever the reason. I don't know why, but check in probably by tonight or by tomorrow morning, where you can go on youtube.com/Rambling Sports. Follow us on Twitter at Rambling Sport. Now, Bill, casual golf fan, what'd you think about these Masters? Because for me,
Patrick Reed wore a pink shirt. That's about all I know.
You stink. Because you know what? It was a phenomenal.
It was a good Masters. It was good. There was a lot of competition. Last day was exciting.
For a Tiger that did okay, did well on the last day to get him back up to, I want to say he ended at either even or 1 under for the day. I'll look up the final score just off the top of my head, but when I look it up real quick, but with a combination of Pat Reed coming out of nowhere doing a very good job. Of course, I picked him in my Masters pool, but everyone else did horrible. Thanks a lot, Jason Duffner. Cost me $70. Horrible human being. But with the stories of McIlroy doing well, Jordan Spieth making one of the best comebacks debatably of all time and almost getting there, but coming up just a bit short is really upsetting, especially since last year he blew it on the last 2 holes. He had a phenomenal final day. Ricky Fowler actually even came back up too and only lost by a stroke. So a lot of the young guys got showcased in this, which was very ideal, which is what you want to see in golf. But at the end of the day, Pat Reed won. Good for him. At the same time, though, would you have liked to see either Ricky Fowler, Spieth make the comeback and win? Would have been bigger in terms of the sporting world? Yes, but at the same time, the Masters made some news, which is very ideal for golf fans.
But it's not getting talked about on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Well, because people haven't talked about this on a Monday or Tuesday, but we're given the slot that we're given. We can't. We don't have that kind of power here.
No, I'm saying people aren't still talking about it.
We'll take over on Monday.
No, I do like how the young guys were there on Sunday. I don't know much about Patrick Reed other than he's been around a decent amount of time and he wore a pink shirt and looks like a baby man. But no, it was entertaining. I had a good time watching it the 4 days it was on, but it just didn't. There's nothing that like stuck out to me and like I'm going to remember this Masters in 4 years or anything like that, which is fine.
Well, absolutely. I think that's the key there. But like at the same time, that's the same for a lot of golf things that have come out, especially a lot of the 4 major tournaments that have come out in the past very recently. 3 or 4 years.
I do think the Tiger being he had a terrible second day. I think started the second day, and that's where I kind of fell off the Tiger watch. But I do think him finishing with a relatively good score, not great, but not absolutely terrible, made the cut. So I think that's good going into the next majors, especially the U.S. Open. I think that's more of a Tiger's tournament, at least in my eyes, from what I remember watching him when we were a little younger. I feel like the 2005 Masters win, I was, what were we, 9 or 10?
Yeah, probably around that time.
I remember more of like the 2009 when we were 12, 13 Tiger. So I just like watching Tiger in the U.S. Open preferably, and I think it bodes really well for him going forward in the next 3 majors. I'd love to see him win one. I'd love to see him be competitive every week and see it on SportsCenter.
Yeah, Woods finished 1 over for the whole tournament, but he had a 3 under for the final day. So not bad, but like he made some progression back, which is ideal. He obviously did he finish in the bottom half of the tournament, obviously, but like at the same time, For a guy that hasn't made the cut, I feel. He hasn't made the cut in a big tournament since 2015, from what I recall. So, it's a step forward in the right direction, but it's for Tiger. But at the same time, I don't know. Let's see. There's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of heat now going into, I want to say the British Open is next, if I can recall off the top of my head. I know, I'm such a great golf fan. I can't remember the tournament schedule.
It goes U.S. Open, British Open.
Oh, yeah, because British Open's in the summer.
Yes.
British Open's like July or August, around that time period. So
you cannot play golf right now in Britain. That would be brutal.
Yeah. Thank God we're not there, though. We're here in the good old US of A, right in Philly, where it literally snows. It's cold one day and hot the next.
It's going to be beautiful the next 3 days. I know people aren't listening for a weather update. It's going to be 60s tomorrow.
Cool.
I may go shorts.
I've been wearing shorts. I'm wearing shorts and a Ric Flair Raglan T-shirt.
Yeah, see, I'm not a big shorts guy. I haven't worn shorts in since August.
Well,
I didn't wear shorts abroad, so
we got to stop talking about something other than the weather. How about let's go talk about how the Yanks are under 500, which we agreed this was going to happen. I hate to admit it, but I kind of said that they would hit a little slump at the beginning. But 14-1 is not ideal, preferably to the Red Sox, the Red Sox are basically playing like they're the best team in baseball.
Red Sox are a great team. I don't it's a season series. I don't think this happens every year with the Red Sox.
They're also playing against Chris Sale, who's one of the best pitchers in the American League.
The Sox and Yanks always have this one blowout game with each other, and everyone freaks out. The major concern is bullpen has been the most inconsistent piece of the team. Like, the young players are doing well, and Boone's still figuring it out, but it's really just the overall bullpen performance which has been the biggest disappointment.
Even the starting pitchers have done okay at points in time.
It's what we talked about before the season started. We said the bullpen's going to carry the starters.
And right now, it's the opposite. Which is upsetting. Which is kind of disappointing if you think about it.
Well, it's not the way the Yankees need to win. The Yankees need their bullpen to be great for them to.
Well, that's what's carried them. That's what's carried them for the past 2 seasons in terms of actual winning games. They've had guys like Betances, Warren, Montgomery at points in time. Mm-hmm. Robertson's now back there, and Chapman still. They have the guys there that can get the job done, but they're just not performing at this point. Now, if it changes around before the trade deadline, that's ideal, but
don't pick it up. It's still April.
I know. It's still April.
It's April 11th.
April 11th.
So I think they'll be okay. It's just disappointing to see through the first 11 games. So they're 5 and 6, right? They're under 500.
Yeah, they're 5 and 6. As I'm getting a text from our good friend Oscar, for all of those who listen, he's saying baseball is a marathon, not a sprint. Take a break. I don't care. I've never ran a marathon in my life. I've only sprinted. And guess what happens when I sprint? I run out of breath. So you know what? I don't take things as marathons, because marathons basically ruin your knees, and running's horrible for you. But
running's probably the best thing you could do for yourself.
I don't want to hear that out of you. We're not talking about my own physical problems. We're talking about how the Yanks have their own problems. I get that. It's the beginning of the year, but since no one really since there's the few fans who really care about the Yankees, we need to talk about our 4 fans that actually care about the locals here, your Philadelphia Phillies. Now, who have they played so far? I know they played the Reds. They played, I want to say, the Marlins.
And so those early season struggles that they were having.
Early season is in a week
ago?
Early
season, yeah, the first series and that one game against the Marlins. They're playing really not great teams right now, which is fine. But
they're 500.
They're 500. They're playing 500 ball right now, and that's exactly what I said before the season, and it's exactly right where they're going to be around all year. Arrieta's first start was, since we've talked, was happy with that. Was happy with his performance. He's not going to be stretched out yet. Probably around his third start, just like Nola was last night.
Yeah.
Did you go to the game? No, you didn't go to the game.
No, I did not go to the game. I had work to do, like a good student.
Well, I skipped my night class, my one skip I used to go, and it was cold, but Nola's looking like the guy I thought he was going to be before the season. He went 7 strong innings, only gave it 1 run.
He's taking over as the ace of the team, which is what they really need.
He is looking like a top 5 pitcher in the NL. I know it's 3 starts, but I think 3 starts is a decent enough.
It's a good view.
It's a good early season view as to see how a guy's improved from the improved or continued on his progression from the year before that he had.
And it sounds like he's improved tremendously at this point.
And he's kept it rolling. What Kapler is doing thus far with the Phillies in mixing up the lineups, I'm still on the fence about. I don't know if it's playing well with the younger guys, because there was a report that Nick Williams was not happy last week.
Oh, well.
And to my surprise, the Philadelphia media was on Kapler's side. They said it's because, again, there's a lot of old-time baseball fans out there, but
there's a lot of old-time baseball fans in the media
general,
still.
Yeah, and everyone's like, shut up and play.
Well, yeah, it's full of 50-year-old white guys who believe in the old style of baseball. Which is understandable.
But I see where he was coming from, where like it's really hard to play like with not knowing how many at-bats you're going to get, and you don't really see your performance the day before translating to playing time over the next week, because Kapler makes the lineups a week before. So that's I can see how there could be a rift in the bullpen, but when it comes down to it, shut up and play baseball. You're a professional baseball player. Do what your manager tells you to do.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You can't not agree with that. You got to listen to the guy. But
I love Hoskins' hot start. He is a legit power hitter in this league. He's going to bat 270, which stinks. Which is
if he hits 30 home runs, it doesn't matter.
He's going to hit 35, driving 100, so that's fine. Carlos Santana has added something to our lineup.
Well, it's a good vet. It's a good vet that you really
missing.
Need.
Yes, especially when
he'll be there for like what, 1 or 2 more years. And
yes,
that's what
they signed him for 3 years. Exactly.
Build a guy out.
Exactly.
He's playing first though, right?
Yeah,
he's not
playing
catching.
First, and Hoskins is out and left, which he hasn't looked bad. He made a couple. He makes the plays. He cut off a ball really nicely last night that was hit into the gap. I think it might have been the first hit off Nola. And again, the Phillies didn't get a hit until the 6th inning last night, but they ended up pulling out a win. Great to see J.P. Crawford get his first RBI last night. He's been in a major slump, and Kidry's been playing for him at short. Yeah, they ended up playing Kidry at third last night, which I love how they're moving on. I love how they're using Kidry. They're getting him
they're having
a lot of at-bats. Exactly. Like, he's getting hot as well. He's homered 2 times the last 2 games, hit a grand slam last night for the insurance runs. I love the way the young players like are separating themselves from each other earlier in the year. Like, you can clearly see Scott Kidry's talent above Crawford's in terms of at the plate. Mm-hmm. And Crawford's being good defensively. Yes, he's no Freddie Galvis. And Cesar's been hitting well, which bodes well for the trade deadline.
Well, of course. Well, you think they'll trade him by that point?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think they're going to get for him?
I think they could get relievers and starters for him. I think he's probably a top 10, top 15 second baseman in the league. And a team that's in the hunt, like, let's say the Yankees second basemen don't, or young players are struggling.
It's basically Neil Walker at this point.
Yeah, but he's better than Neil Walker.
Well, so Neil Walker's towards the end line of his career.
Yeah, I'm saying the Yankees, who think they'll have a shot at the title, a team like that, particularly an American League team, I think the Phillies wouldn't really trade him to a national team just because
if they don't want to see him competition.
Yeah, they just don't. They don't generally do that.
Well, no, they trade him to the Astros, like where they trade everybody to the Astros.
Yeah, seriously. Well, they got Altuve out there, but
I know, but I'm saying that's just a joke. You know, like when they, Roy Oswald, send him to the Phils. Hunter Pence, just go send him to the Astros. Why not?
They sent. Oh, I just had the name in my head. The closer that the Phillies had that they used over the World Series was from the Phillies as well.
Brad Lidge?
No. Well, yes, Brad Lidge before. I'm talking the current team. Ken Giles. Giles, their closer. That is funny that you point that out. Anyway, I think for the trade deadline, team like the Yankees, or team like the Angels as well, with young middle infielders who think they can make a push. I think
use a guy like
they're very good trade candidates. So I think the Phillies are in good shape going forward. I think they're going to be right around 500 the next week we talk. They're going to be right around 500 the next week we talk. And then they're going to be right around 500 when we come back in August and we talk the first Wednesday of my senior year. So I legitimately think this is just who the Phillies team is. They're going to be up and down all year. And it's going to be fun to watch. I think the games are very entertaining.
The Yanks are going to be the same way, too, for a little bit. I think they'll be up and down. Hopefully they're if they hit this slump, if they're in a little bit of a slump by the time, like June and July roll around, that would be cool because then I can go to games for the cheap. And even then, I'm still going to be spending $80 for a game.
I think that's when they heat up. I think the Yankees.
Oh no! If they do heat up, then I just will go sit. I'll go sit at a bar in the middle of like outside of Yankee Stadium and go watch the game.
Go sit at stands. Enjoy a nice $8 beer instead of probably a $50 beer inside the stadium.
Yes. And by the way, it wouldn't be 50; it would be like 12 for like a Budweiser tall boy.
No, that's what they are at the Philly Stadium were last night. The Yankee Stadium is probably like 18, realistically.
Oh, I don't think it's 18.
It may be 18.
Oh no! Last time I was there, it was probably around 12.50, 13.
They definitely raised those prices.
It also was for the Pinstripe Bowl. So
okay, well, we're talking Yankees games here.
Yes, but the Pinstripe Bowl was in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, they're going to raise prices for the actual Yankee games.
That's fine. You can get bacon on a stick at a Yankee game. I don't see you can do that in old Philadelphia.
Yeah, we have Dollar Dog Night where guys down 9 hot dogs and drink 3,000 beers because they're like kind of affordable.
Shout out to Kenny O'Connell for eating 9 hot dogs in 6 innings. Crazy child. Going back to the Phils here, because if you think about this, obviously we're not winning a game against the Mets is not ideal. You go 1-2 against the Braves, but like again, you're kind of back in that 500 range where you win 2 out of 3 against Miami, and realistically they could sweep this series against the Reds. Then if you look at the next couple series, you got, let's say, the next 3. Keep it realistic for or even like closing out April. You got Tampa Bay for 3, at Tampa Bay, at Atlanta, then Pittsburgh at home for 4 games, Diamondbacks home for 3 games, and then Atlanta for another 3.
We should end this season. We should end this month 5 games above 500.
You could
purely based on
playing Atlanta. I think
we win this series right now. I think Pavetta's going to pitch very well today. I think that's who's on the hill tonight.
Then the Pirates can't be. I don't even think the Pirates are that.
I think the Pirates are. We should sweep Atlanta. Absolutely. Rays probably going to lose that series because that's what the Phillies do. They're so inconsistent after winning a series and losing it.
They can split with the Pirates. Diamondbacks probably, could be. Yeah, Diamondbacks are not bad.
Diamondbacks are going to. They'll probably take this. Depending on pitching, I think Nola's next start is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nola's next start is going to be the Braves. And yes, Nola will face the Diamondbacks. Maybe
probably the last game of that series on the 26th.
So Arrieta's also thrown in there in that Pirate series. We probably win those games. Pavetta's been pitching very well. So is Lively, and I don't want to see Lively get taken out of the rotation. Especially because he was that 4th guy.
I hate to say it, but he may have to take out old Vinny.
He is bad.
Vinny V ain't doing too good.
He is just terribly inconsistent, and I just can't see. Once they figure out when Eichhoff comes back off the DL, which actually should be in around mid-May to beginning of April, I've always thought he was a bullpen guy. I always thought he was that 7th or 8th inning guy, not a closer.
Setup guy.
Terribly inconsistent setup guy, which that's not how Kapler thinks about the bullpen.
Oh, of course.
On a stereotypical baseball team, he's that guy. Give max effort 5 out of the 7 games of the week. He's going to come out. He's going to face the best right-handed hitters on the team in the key situations.
Yeah,
and his stuff is nasty enough to be in the bullpen. I just feel like he's too inconsistent to be a starting pitcher, and he's one of those guys where his fastball doesn't have enough movement on it to where he can keep hitters off balance 3 times around an order. He may be able to get by 2 times around an order, but when you hit those later innings, he can't last past the 5th inning. And if you want him to be who he could be, that's just not the best way to use him. Move him to the pen, or trade him for talent.
Yeah. Even though I hate to go back and forth and switch teams, but I'm kind of looking at this old Yank schedule. What's
their week coming up look like?
Well, let's say this week. They got to finish up with Boston, then they got Detroit coming up. They're literally...
That should be a sweep.
Detroit should be a sweep. Let's see how it goes. Got 2 games Miami at home, and a 4-game series with Toronto, 4 games with Minnesota. Minnesota's not bad. 3 games with Angels, and then ending out the month in the Houston at the Astros.
Honestly, so with that's kind of a hard schedule. I think
they have a rough stretch because there's not a lot of days. They're basically playing.
They should be
almost every. They're literally playing almost. They have 1 day off on the 18th because they're flying out to Toronto. It's like 11, 12, 13. They're literally playing almost every day for the month of April, except for April 18th.
You don't win. You can lose your season in April. You can't win it. So I think going 500 in April with that schedule would not be the worst thing. I hope Yankees fans don't overreact.
Oh no, I think
because
the best outcome that they're going to get out of this, in my opinion, is probably they could end up at the same position right now where they're just a game below 500.
I don't think necessarily,
and it's not a bad thing.
That doesn't mean freak out. Absolutely not. I also the Red Sox aren't going to play like this for the rest of the month,
and neither are the Mets, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bobby. They're not. The Mets are going back down to the bottom of the heap. I don't care if they're 9-1.
Mm-hmm. So it's the first 10 days, and how many times the last 3 weeks we have said it's early. But we are coming up onto that. I think next week we'll hit that 50 at bat threshold that I was talking about earlier, and I think we hit the 25 one.
Well, yeah, because this week
for the Yankees it's kind of concerning that Giancarlo Stanton is so terribly inconsistent. Looks like Judge finally is he's got into a groove,
which is fine. Which you expect that in the season. Like ESPN came out with the article today, the silver lining of this game, which was Giancarlo got a base hit off of a good lefty, and Aaron Judge went probably 3 for 4 and a dinger.
Fine. But
that's cool, but the concern, can't give him 14 runs.
The concern I have with Stanton specifically is what I said before the season. He as a National League player and a National League superstar, okay, I'm going to go out and play right field in 3 innings. I'm going to go up and hit, and I'm going to go play right field. And that type of consistency can mess up a baseball player when, all right, I'm DHing. Now I'm going to go play left. Then I'm going to be in right. And then I'm going to DH again. And then
I don't think he's been fielding that much. To be
I don't think that's a good idea. He is a above average fielder. I would stick him out in right field and say, because he is that type of player.
Well, the problem is, though, Judge, I think, is also a very good outfielder as well.
I think Judge, he's young enough he hasn't had that MLB experience of being in that routine that I think Stanton's a better fit for that.
Oh, no, I completely understand.
I think move Judge to left or center, because he can also play center because he's young enough, fast enough, and athletic enough, even being that huge human being. I just think that would be a better idea for the Yankees to get more consistency.
All right, I'll come with you again. And look at this. We actually have a caller. Oh, my goodness. Look at us. We're popular today. You're on Ramblin' Sports. Who is it? Well, you're on Ramblin' Sports. Who is it? Nope. Jeez, that was my second half. Oh, yeah. It's going to be that kind of day, isn't it? And okay, never mind. Never mind.
It's been all semester and we still can't figure out how to use this.
We know how to use this. I literally did it right before. You click the button, you hold the thing, you click the button, you say, hey, who is it? And then look, see, there we go again. Hold this, click that. You're on Ramblin' Sports. Who is it?
Hey, it's Joe from Foxbury.
Joe from where?
Massachusetts.
How's it? Joe from Massachusetts. A Massachusetts caller. Look at us. How's it going, Joe?
Pretty good. I go by Joseph, though. I got
Sorry, Joseph.
Question for you.
Sure.
So the Mets have been dominating. Yankees have kind of been stinking up the place. I know you're a huge Yankee fan. How do you feel about the Mets just being the better team in New York, and probably for the next 10 years they'll probably be the better team?
Oh, come on. Joseph?
Thanks. Let me hear your thoughts about the Mets. Thanks, Chief.
Well, I actually do have some Mets thoughts. I don't think this is much
as getting chiefed by Joseph from Massachusetts. What a gentleman that guy is.
I don't think this is as much as a fluke as you were saying earlier in the year. I don't think, obviously, they're not going to be this consistently great all year, but everyone has always said the past 3 years from the Mets is that pitching staff, that pitching. Yeah, they're completely right. If they still get this consistent pitching out of their staff, and I'm not following it that intensely to make I know all the statistics and everything, but just watching from afar and kind of having arm's reach of being in the division. I'd be scared if I was actually the Nationals, because the pitching they do have legitimate hitters on their team. I think Jay Bruce, from last year, has a big chip on his shoulder and has been playing pretty decent from what I've seen. And Cespedes is always a threat. I think the Mets have that innate baseball quality that a couple teams have every year to be in the race all year and sneak in or just
still
miss.
have a Asdrubal Cabrera too, who's no slouch when it comes to hitting.
And all these guys are professional players. Like, they're not that young team who's inconsistent,
and not anymore.
who's
Like
reaching.
Darno's
Exactly.
still he's been in the league now for a lot of years. Jay Bruce is a vet. Asdrubal Cabrera is a vet. Todd Frazier very much a vet. And at this point, for a lot of these pitchers too, you still have DeGrom, Syndergaard, Matt Harvey, and Steven Matz.
Who
phenomenal pitchers.
Two of the Syndergaard and DeGrom are legit aces. And Harvey
can be.
Harvey
too.
At this point, he's a third starter in his career. He fell off. That guy's in his own head.
Well, that's just disappointing. Even then, Max is still a good pitcher.
Still a good pitcher. If they get any type of consistency out of 3 of those 4, they could be a wild card team, and they could push the Nationals potentially for the division if a bunch of things break right and the Nationals have some injuries. Which, to my point in the NL East, is scary from my perspective as a Phillies fan, because I obviously didn't expect the Mets to be this consistent, and they were never top of mind when I thought of what the Phillies should worry about in terms of in the division, because the Braves stink so bad. And I thought the Mets would not get this type of consistency. As they're obviously not going to stay at this point, but I do think it's worth mentioning that the Mets are a legitimate threat to the Nationals and to make the NL playoffs.
Well, think about this. You're having games where they're scoring 8, 6, 8, 9 runs a game, like in a couple points time, and even then, like they have a 2-0 win over the Phillies. Like they're not letting up that many runs. They've only the last time the most runs they let up was 6, and that was last night. Mm-hmm. And they still won against the I know it's the Marlins, but still letting up 6 runs and you win 8 and you win. That's ideal.
It's the same thought. It's the same thought. General thing around the NL East is you got to play the Marlins and you got to play the Braves, and you got to play them 18 times a year. That's 16 wins for a good ball club, and the Mets and the Nationals are both good ball clubs. Phillies are a 500 team. They should at least win 12 to 13, and if they want to make the playoffs, it's got to be 15 to 16.
Yeah, which I don't think that's going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but I'm saying that's the route that the Mets can think. For all the Mets listeners, I don't know how many there are. I don't personally have any Mets listeners.
Joe from Massachusetts.
He's feeling himself. Joseph, get it right.
I couldn't care less at this point.
I think they're legitimate.
Chiefed me on air. Not really ideal.
Joe
from Massachusetts.
That's probably the most thought-provoking call we've ever had.
Oh no, we've definitely had a few. We definitely had a few others from our good from a couple of my good friends from home that decide to not use their real names just for the sake of radio, in air quotes, for anyone who decides to watch on the video stream. I don't even know if that works at this point. But you know what? Enough about Mets talk. I don't feel like talking about the Yanks. Even though we have. None of my New York teams are in these 2 upcoming playoffs, so
it's an exciting time in Philadelphia still.
It's
an exciting time. And for a very casual Flyers fan, this is the most excited I've been for a playoff series. Like, I was talking to Bat Neary, who sometimes comes on the show.
He only showed up once, and I'm waiting for him to show up again.
In the library. Before I went to class and then came here.
You should have.
And Flyers fans are ecstatic for this series coming up against the Penguins. 2012 playoffs was probably the last time I was very into the Flyers.
Wasn't that the year they went to the World Series that year?
No, that was 2010.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But that playoff series against Pittsburgh is something that still is one of my favorite memories in Philadelphia sports. And I don't think Crosby's this big wimp that everyone says he is, because he is probably the best player in the NHL. Even though
McDavid's so good,
even though Claude Giroux, I think, should win the Carter Hart Trophy, because he has.
Giroux. I think Bannery said Giroux for MVP, and let's think.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
That's a very good case for it, especially for the fact that the Flyers have done very well. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to take a look at the NHL standings real quick, but at the same time, you can't go wrong with Connor McDavid.
You can't go wrong.
I think if you think about it, for me personally, I said before you were on the show, and once hockey season kind of started, which was around last semester, or at least around the time where last semester,
November, October last semester.
Yeah, around that time period, I was saying that the premier matchup for hockey this year, especially for the World Series, is Penguins and Oilers. So I think you need what the league needs.
You need the stars. You need the stars.
You don't need you need the stars, but you also need the history of it.
Okay.
People don't. I hate to say this, but people don't care when the San Jose Sharks or the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Blues or any of these other teams play. They care about the big city teams that actually have hockey. Like I hate to say it, but New York, like Boston, like even like the Kings somehow gets like even I hate to say it, but the Kings like. Or even like
when these big market teams or those historic Canada teams, like
the original
six, that when those teams are great, it's better for hockey. I agree. And when the Oilers have a star in McDavid, and you're saying with Sidney Crosby,
guess when the last times the Oilers had a star that was debatably that good? Wayne Gretzky. And you know what, Connor McDavid right now, I'm not calling it early, and I won't do that because Wayne Gretzky is the best player of all time. There's a reason why he had his number retired in the league. No player has ever done. So personally, they should have done that for Jordan.
Besides Jackie Robinson, and Jackie Robinson was extenuating circumstances.
And also, yeah, like Mariano Rivera wore 42.
Yeah.
So
he was grandfathered in.
He was grandfathered in it, and that's fair. But Jackie Robinson was
iconic for a different thing. Yes,
iconic for
Gretzky is the best hockey player of all time. No one ever argues that.
Yeah, and for the people who think that he isn't, that's just a shame. I don't care if I've never seen Gretzky play live. I don't care. He is the best hockey player of all time. To get your number retired in the entire league is truly astounding. And if you think about it at this point, Oilers, I'm pretty sure, were there last year in the Stanley Cup, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was the Oilers, and actually no, Oilers lost. Oilers lost in the conference finals. Oilers lost in the conference finals of that team of it last year.
I'm taking a look at this bracket right now, and I'm going to go from the Flyers' perspective. I'm looking at. So we play Pittsburgh this series. Those games are always these series always go very long.
Oh yeah, it was Nashville. It was Nashville and Penguins last year, and Predators beat the Oilers in the conference finals.
Yes.
My mistake.
The Oilers did not even make the playoffs, did they?
Last year they did.
No, this year they did not.
They did not make it this year?
It's Nashville, Colorado, Winnipeg, Minnesota, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Anaheim, and San Jose.
Wow, they were at the bottom of the. Yeah. They were at the bottom of the.
So thing. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right now. And this brings me back to that point that I think the Flyers grabbing Pittsburgh in the first round obviously would have loved to have played Washington in the first round. Didn't end up with that.
That's a shame.
But I think they can beat the Pittsburgh because they always play them tough. I love the rivalry against them.
I still think one of the best. I want to say it was either 2011 or 2012. The year it may have been that 2012 year we're talking about. The year where they were in the first round, and like the second or third game, bell whistle goes off for the start of the game. Everyone drops the glove and starts
Crosby, yes. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the Flyers can somehow pull out the scrappy victory in the first round and get Washington in the second round, who they have pummeled this year. They have played them very well. They can always skate with Washington for some reason. And with Washington basically being the Nationals and the Cowboys in the playoffs of the NHL, they have a solid shot at making the Stanley Cup, not the finals. They have a chance of making the Eastern side of the bracket finals.
Yeah.
Which I don't. If I had to put money on it, I wouldn't bet on that. But for Flyers fans, I think this is a really exciting matchup. One, the rivalry, and two, the potential opponent next round. And that me as a casual hockey fan, that brings me in. I'm going to watch the game tonight. I'm going to try and do whatever I can to get down there for a game.
Right now, the Predators are the favorite and the Predators have the best record in baseball. Jeez, already thinking of the World Series. Best record in hockey. Otherwise, favorite-wise, Nashville, then Tampa Bay, then Boston, then Vegas out of all teams. Talk about that. Vegas was one of the best teams at home this year, and they were, in points-wise, if I'm not mistaken, if you go back, they were top 4 teams in points. If the ESPN website decides to work, I'm pretty sure they were top 4 team in points. Let's think. Where were they? Yeah, 109. They were third best team in the West.
So
as a home team that literally, as a team that won most of their games at home, and their stadium was created last year, and their team was created within this past year.
As me and you both being casual hockey fans,
and well, casual hockey fans when it comes to like teams that I don't care about.
Yeah. Let's hear your prediction for the Stanley Cup Finals.
I don't think the Pens are going to do it. I can't see the Capitals going. I hate Tampa Bay so much, but Tampa Bay could easily make it out of the East. Hold on, I want to take a look. I can't find this stupid bracket, and it's kind of annoying here. Let me take a look for a second as we're looking around here. This is terrible radio, folks. And I apologize for that greatly, but
Lutz, we've never bragged about being good at this.
That's not true. I think we're hysterical, but we're not here to be hysterical. Honestly, the Devils could easily give Tampa Bay a run for their money. I think if I had to guess, I think Boston could easily represent the East. West. I think either Vegas or Nashville, and then kind of flip a coin from there. I'm not sure, but I think whoever comes out of the West wins this year.
Really? Why do you say that though? As educate me on as my not knowing anything about the Western Conference of the hockey, and I'll write it. I don't know. It
really depends on how Vegas does. I think obviously it's going to be rough for them, even though they have a lot of veteran guys on that team. It's still their first season as a team. They're in the playoffs. Now that's going to be questionable to see how they do. But if they keep their consistent home record, which was, where are you? Yeah, they were 29-10-2 at home. As a startup team, that's really good. Winnipeg, obviously, the best record at home this year was Winnipeg at 32-7-2, which is very, very good. I want to see how Vegas does at home. I want to see how Vegas does at home throughout the playoffs. If they win out through, they win a couple games away, they'll get home advantage in the playoffs. They'll get home advantage probably against the Bruins at that point, but I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know. It's really been tough for me to watch hockey, not knowing that the Rangers are literally.
I understand
the third worst team in hockey.
So what I've tried it. I've been very much on the Flyers playoff bandwagon, talking to my friends that are Flyers fans and trying to get their opinions on how everything was going to play out.
Yeah. I think the Flyers have a chance.
And following the best team I've seen skate over the past month, and I'm going to say it's Boston. That's my pick to come out of the East.
That's what I was saying. I think Boston. I just don't see Tampa Bay doing it. Mostly because I hate them, and I think they're a team that has really not come up clutch at points in time, and half of that team is full of old Ranger players. So I kind of don't want to see them win. So being arrogant, I will say that Boston will come out of the East.
I'm very much rooting for obviously for the Flyers to win the Stanley Cup. But I'm very much rooting for. The
brackets would pin out where it's Flyers and Boston could play in the conference finals, right?
Yes, they could.
And by the way, that could be a phenomenal series.
That would be a great series. It would be another Boston beating Philly thing, or Philly beating Boston thing, which probably wouldn't is how that whole would shake out.
That's still one of the best hockey series ever when they came back from 3-0.
That was awesome. They came back to 3-0 and 3-0 in Game 7 to win, which was awesome. I'm very much rooting for Las Vegas to make the Stanley Cup Finals. I think that would be a great story for just hockey, and I think it would solidify East Coast hockey fans' interest in the Western Coast of hockey.
I don't even think it's that. I think it gives. Don't forget. Remember how this team started? It was basically just, okay, we're going to take a guy or two from like every team, and you're going to go over here. So it's basically about as ragtag as you could possibly get. It
solidifies the greatness of the most competitive sport out of the major sports, which is hockey.
Well, I say to this day, if I'm picking any title to win, any professional sports title, in terms of most difficult, I still think it's the most difficult. I think it's Stanley's Cup. And if I want a thing to literally hang in my house, I want Lord Stanley's Cup.
Yeah. Oh, it's 100%.
And I'm not saying that because I want to drink a beer out of it. I'm saying that because I think it's the best looking, one of the best looking titles. And there are a few things better than going to a home hockey game, especially as a Rangers fan. I went to a Flyers Rangers playoff game where I literally got booed out of the stadium due to the Flyers.
Oh, you went at Wells Fargo?
Yes, once. That's a whole story within itself. I was having a bad day. I showed up in my Lucky Rangers hat and a blue pullover in my uncle's nice seats. Got booed right out. Like it was like I witnessed an entire fan base literally curse off a guy.
Yeah, the Flyers, hardcore Flyers fans take it really seriously.
They're some of the best fans. I hate to say it.
They're some of the most die-hard loyal fans. And that's
a Flyers home game. If you're wearing like blue or you're just against the team, it's just bad. Like
it does not look good.
And that was the same thing for Phillies fans back in the day. Like I hate
back in the day.
I remember going to an afternoon game with my grandfather, my mother, and my brother. They were playing the Rockies at like 1 o'clock on a Saturday, and Giambi was up to bat, and I'm literally hearing fans close behind home plate literally yelling at Giambi like, "Hey, you're still taking steroids or whatever," and just literally yelling at the guy about like just being juiced up.
Well, so all the guys listening, or everyone who's listening that went to Phillies games when we were younger, which was from probably when
2008 when I was
10 until
or 2006.
I think
around that time.
It was my freshman year, freshman year of high school. So it was from probably when people who are my age, and when I was 11 to when I was 13, or when I was 11 to when I was 15, maybe.
Yeah, around the time they were good.
Those were the most exciting summer nights of my entire life
because those games were sold out.
They were sold out. We sold out 300 some games in a row. That's what I like. Especially
that's what
you
I always remember as a fan of baseball who. Because I've said this before, Citizens Bank Park is my favorite stadium to go to watch a game. I think...
Yeah, I get down to Camden Yards.
What?
You got to get down to Camden Yards.
I've never been to Camden Yards.
Yeah, I get down there.
Nationals Park is also nice, too.
Yes.
I hate the Nationals, but
it's nice.
It's fun to go there.
All those modern... Yeah, continue.
No, I still think that was one of the best... That streak of home sellout games is one of my favorite to watch because I think it showed... It was like, because as a New York fan, old Yankee Stadium was great. New Yankee Stadium is annoying because it costs way too much money to do whatever you want, and that kind of sucks. But going to a Phil's game where like everyone's just there because they're just true baseball fans, wanting to go watch their team hopefully win, especially back in the day where they actually could win literally every game they wanted to.
It was kids that are, or it wasn't kids, it was people our current age that the Phillies. This is just a side note. And we'll move on to NBA talk, I guess, after this.
Oh, of course. More Philly talk.
The Phillies stadium does a great job of servicing all ages. Like they have the true baseball fan that wants to sit down and watch a game with a beard and a hot dog. Then they have the kids with the new wiffle ball era they had, and like the fast pitched throw they used to have for the kids, and the really good family environment. And then they have the whole Ashburn Alley for the young adult environment that's there for more as a social rather than also watching the game and socializing with friends and it's their night out.
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah, but
and they're affordable tickets. They've always been.
You're not spending $200 for a steak at a Yankee getting wined and dining and having a steak at a Yankee Stadium on a nice table.
Enough with the Philly bias. We'll move on to more Philly bias. And I want to hear... I have my opinion on the Sixers. I talked about it all yesterday with Migden, who...
You talk about it all the time.
Who also runs the show. If he's listening, I'd love to get his opinion on the playoffs as well.
Everyone listen to Fourth and Long?
Fourth and Long. It's on Mondays at 5, I think.
Yeah, Mondays at 5.
They do another awesome show.
We have more people on the phone, but we'll give them just... Actually, let's see if we can get this guy on here real quick. Who could you be? You're on Ramblin' Sports. Who is it?
Hey, this is Ricky from Rahway.
Hey, Ricky from Rahway. How are you?
Good. Yo, we talking some New Jersey Devils hockey?
We will if you want to.
If you want to, because I think the Devils have a good shot of being the Lightning. I want to hear your take on it, Ricky. I know you're a big Devils fan. I can just tell it. as a Rahway guy, you're definitely a big Devils fan.
Huge Devils fan. Hey, they were the only team to go undefeated versus the Lightning in the regular season. You got to feel pretty good about that going to the playoffs.
That's true, but at the same time, you're not going to sweep them. Like that series could easily go to 7 if the Lightning get their act together.
That's what I got to say. Devils are a dangerous team in the playoffs. They're physical and they're fast and they're young. They're hungry.
I agree. I want to see how they do against Boston, though. If they beat the Lightning, I want to see how they do against Boston. The Devils very much have a chance.
You got to love the new 93. Yeah, hold on, I'm getting gas. You know, you just got to love the New Jersey Devils right now. I know you're a Rangers fan, but you know what? We're back. The Devils are back.
Yeah, especially after a 2-year slump where they've gotten a lot of draft picks and good guys. Speaking of which, side note for the Devils fan here and Rangers fans around, Kovalchuk, 2 years for the Devils, with 2 years back with the Rangers, coming back from his hiatus and probably being a Russian mobster.
It's a soft move by the Rangers.
Dude, don't talk to me like I accept this. Like,
it's a desperate move. That's a desperate move. The Rangers are supposed to be a true American, hockey team. That's a ballsy move.
They've been desperate like this entire year. They only have 20. They only have like how many wins? Like 24. I'm not even. Actually, no. I'm confusing them with the Knicks. But like they're the third worst team in hockey. Like, what are you gonna do?
The Devils are the king of the metropolitan area. Just say it.
They're in Newark. They're in Newark.
Metropolitan area.
He said, I don't know about that, Ricky. I don't know about that.
We own the tri-state in hockey.
Well, you could say that for this season just because they're the best team in the best team. Maybe not even the tri-state.
New York,
by the way,
New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut.
Well, yeah. And by the way, the Flyers are better right now than the Devils because it's literally a proven fact.
It's the only thing we got left in Jersey. Have some pride.
Trust me.
As much is true. Even though you're so-called New York, I won't do that.
Okay,
I won't do that.
I
won't do that.
Fan, how dare you?
No, you're so cool. Called New York teams play. I think they play across the river in Jersey.
That's
if
fine.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they play on top of a swamp where the mobsters from The Sopranos buried people, literally down the road.
You should do yourself a favor, all right? Go on the internet right now. All right, I want you to play it on Rambling Sports just to get the juices flowing. I want you to put on the New Jersey Devils intro music video from this past season. I will do that
you know what, Ricky? I'll do that while I'm on the toilet. Thank you so much for calling in. I'll talk to you soon, all right, pal? Yeah, that's my opinion on the Devils. So, we got our hockey talk in, of course, with no hockey guys here because they never want to show up. Thanks, Andrew, and thanks, Baneri. But it's all Baneri's fault, in my opinion. We got to get back to some basketball now. Are the Sixers the third seed yet?
So it's not official. They are the third. They've clinched home court, and that means 1 to 4 seeds. They have one more game tonight if they beat Milwaukee, which is who they would play in the first round, as well. Milwaukee would then. I think Milwaukee has clinched the 6. So I think the more interesting thing is the Sixers have to win tonight with Simmons is banged up and Sarge he might not play tonight as well. But going forward, the matchup right now in the East is Toronto, Washington, Boston, Miami, Sixers, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Indiana, and that's the matchups. I think I was talking about this yesterday. Embiid is looking like he's not going to play the first 2 games at home against. Right now, it's Milwaukee. I think that could mean a lot in terms of the Sixers moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Embiid needs to play the first 2 games in order to be successful against their second round matchup. So I think they can beat Milwaukee without him. I don't think they need Embiid particularly to beat Milwaukee. They need him in order to sweep or win in 5. I think they can beat them in 6 or 7 because that last game would be at home.
Well, if you think, let's say if everything plays out where it ends up where the 1 plays the 4 and the 2 plays the 3. That's usually how it is at this point, right? If everything plays out in terms of how the brackets are playing. you'll have a Celtics team without Kyrie playing, or a Heat team that is going to be on its feet playing well, against a Sixers team that will have Embiid by that point playing well. So, realistically, I hate to say it, it's reasonably possible it won't happen, but the Sixers could make the Eastern Conference Finals.
I think they do with the healthy Embiid. I think they beat Boston with Embiid.
I will say this, though. Ben Simmons better be ready to start playing some defense. He can play defense, don't get me wrong. But the Milwaukee team, from an outside view,
you'll see his defensive. You'll see his guts and what he can do on defense against Giannis tonight. Because he's going to want to send a message. Because right now they played them as in the 3-6 game.
And realistically, Giannis is the guy on that team, and they all run through him. I don't know who on Milwaukee is going to
Middleton and Jabari, but they're not gonna stop. They're not going to be the end all be all this series. It would be the matchup of that series right now is Simmons
he's the 4. Giannis is the 4. Giannis is the 4 on this team, and he'll probably. And I get that he's the point guard. I want to see how. Obviously, you have Bledsoe, who's no scrub. You have Middleton, who's no scrub. Henson's a good defensive guy, but they don't really need him at this point in time. I don't think he's that good enough where he can where he could stifle Embiid. Not at this point, especially if Embiid's at the top of his game.
No one can stifle Embiid in the Eastern Conference. Maybe Whiteside. That's it.
I'd say either Whiteside and maybe Tristan Thompson of last year.
Exactly.
And if Tristan Thompson starts playing defense like he can, especially as an offensive rebound guy, let's look at that matchup if it happens. Cleveland and the Sixers, which realistically can happen.
That's what it's going. That's what the Eastern Conference Finals would be. I was talking about this yesterday as well.
I don't know. The Raptors are really good, but I don't know how they're going to do in the playoffs.
But I think if they place Cleveland in the second round, LeBron's not making the Eastern Conference Finals. That's why I think this is huge for the Sixers to win this game tonight. This game will determine the Sixers' playoffs fate in terms of if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because right now, the way they've been playing, I know we talked about how my expectations have been a freaking bell curve, and now they are right on the way up again. Since I started on this show,
because they've been hot.
But I think that proves that the expectations are no joke. That people need to expect this team to make the Eastern Conference Finals.
And by the way, a lot of analysts are thinking that same way too. And you can't sleep on it.
I don't think it's that crazy to say that they need to because their last since the turn of the calendar, that's the team they showed you they can be. And I think with the amount of veterans, Ersan, Bellinelli, who's won championships, JJ was made the playoffs every year of his career. Granted, he hasn't had a lot of success in the playoffs, but he's been in the playoffs every year.
He's a role player. He also was a role player on those Magic teams too.
Getting to my point is, I think they've been around the stars. Bellinelli's been around Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, and Redick's been around CP3. Well, CP3 hasn't made a Western Conference Finals. It's also in the Western Conference.
Dwight Howard at the time when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals and the Finals.
So I think that supporting cast of players is why the Sixers will make the Eastern Conference Finals. They don't make or break it by the performance on the court, saying that they need to be the guys who are stepping up and helping Ben and Joe when Joe comes back. Probably Game 3 in right now would be Milwaukee. I think that's
is Markelle
that's the key.
Is Fultz going to play or no?
He is going to play. He's going to have to because Embiid's going to be out. That's the point that I think Embiid needs to get back Game 1 because he needs to have his legs under him by the time they go after Boston in the second round. Yeah. I think that is crucial.
Well, that's if they win tonight too, and that's what's important.
Yes, that's exactly tonight. Just moving forward, because we won't talk until these games have. I think Game 1 will have been played by next Wednesday.
Game one of the of playoff time?
Yes,
probably.
it's the 14th. So yeah,
and then that would be the 14th. Well, what time would be game 2? Probably maybe that Tuesday.
Yeah, so I think So by the time we talk next week, I think
we may be 2 games into this.
I think Embiid needs to have played because he is a guy that takes a week to get into shape with basketball. He can't be playing 28 minutes a game in the playoffs for the Sixers and the Sixers to beat Boston. He needs to be playing 30 to 34 minutes a game just because those are NBA star numbers, and he needs to be a star for us to beat a good Boston team even without Kyrie and Hayward. Think about where Boston could have been this year.
I still think this is going to kill me. I love him as a coach, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Brad Stevens?
Brad, thank you.
He can win the Eastern Conference for Boston if they get a good performance out of their role players. Brad Stevens, in my opinion, is the second best coach in all of basketball. I think he's the best. I think he's better than Pop right now. Even though Pop is right now leading his team.
Pop literally dragged this team out of the muck with
literally
getting LaMarcus Aldridge to start playing basketball again like he did at Portland.
Yeah, okay, you could argue. Historically, Pop is better. I just think right now...
I think this season, Brad Stevens is coach of the year.
Oh, no, that's Brett Brown. That's got to be Brett Brown. Taking a team from 28 wins to potentially 52 if they win tonight.
Well, 28... Look at the... By the way... Whoever because you have the additions. Look at the additions on that team. Who was there from last year?
He's the one who has to integrate them into the lineup and make it all succeed.
And that's fine. I think, especially now that the Sixers are the 3 seed, I think that's more of a relevant statement. But
nobody makes 20 games improvement year to year. That's Boston can do that, but they also had they tanked, and then
Boston
they got that big 3 back in the day. Tank. Back in the day, I'm talking. They tanked for that one season, then they got the big 3. That's why they made that giant jump.
Danny Ainge is like best friends with Kevin McHale, and they traded like
KG and Ray Allen. That's the time period I'm talking about.
KG for a whole lot of nothing.
That doesn't happen. Going from 28 wins to the potentially 52, at least 51 does not happen. Yeah, and that's why purely on that, I think also the Utah coach you gotta give a lot of credit to, especially with a very young team, and they're the 3 seed in the West.
Donovan Mitchell has killed it.
He's legit, but he's not the rookie of the year. That argument needs to end. I'm tired of these Bleacher Report and ESPN posts. Ben Simmons is averaging 16, 8, and 8, and he's got 12 triple doubles and led his team to 15 straight wins. That's the rookie of the year. It's not Donovan Mitchell.
I think the only reason why people would say that is because this is only Ben Simmons' first season.
It's the rookie of the year.
I know, it's the rookie of the year. But it's like the Blake Griffin effect. It's like, is Blake Griffin really a rookie?
So David Robinson won Rookie of the Year back in '89 when he hadn't played when he was technically on the team and serving in the military since '87.
Okay, well, that's not fair.
If those two can win the Rookie of the Year, then Ben Simmons should be playing Rookie of the Year.
Are you really comparing Ben Simmons to the Admiral?
Yeah, because it's the same situation. He didn't play for a year.
I get you. What? Trust me, Ben Simmons is the Rookie of the Year in my opinion. I agree with you. I'm just saying I get what they view it from. Plus, Donovan Mitchell is a guy that you wouldn't expect to be doing this well at this point in time in his career. That's my view. I think that people are shocked by how well that he's done, mostly due to the fact that he's taken a bunch of. The one problem that I have with that is he's taken so many shots that like a bunch of them are just going in compared to Ben Simmons, where he's actually truly making plays. So that by that sense alone, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I was just only being the devil's advocate for that side.
I'll take that argument any day of the week.
Oh well, of course you.
You ever see that meme on the internet where it's like a guy sitting at like a stand, try to convince me why Ben Simmons is in the Rookie of the Year? That's how I feel right now.
I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you.
Some people will get it.
Some people will get it.
Sixers Twitter. Jeez, speak, Bill. No. Anyway, Sixers, I think by the time we talk, we'll be 1-1 in the series.
Do we care about the Western Conference though?
I can make. I do. We're just running out of time. That's why I wrapped it up. Well, yeah,
it's 3:57. So let's think about it. Rockets Warriors,
Western Conference Finals. That game that's going 7, but I think the Warriors pull it out because Chris Paul and James Harden come up short in the playoffs.
I don't think they come up short. I think Kevin Durant and I think a healthy Steph Curry coming back step forward. You
I also think
have
Steve Kerr is a better coach than Mark D'Antoni in the playoffs.
Yes, I hate Mark D'Antoni to this day.
I don't hate him. Just like I look at what he did.
He was a Knicks coach and did absolutely nothing.
What he did with Phoenix and with Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, they were always that best regular season team that ran through a buzzsaw. Who were the Los Angeles Lakers? And what do we have right now? We have a great offensive team in Houston running through a buzzsaw as Golden State. But history repeats itself.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, you're comparing that team where Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, and now they're basically. The one saving grace that D'Antoni has is that he has James Harden on that team compared to those Suns teams. Those Suns teams were good, don't get me wrong. But the fact that you're trading in Steve Nash for Chris Paul, that equals. Amari Stoudemire for Clint Capella, that doesn't work because Clint Capella's good.
It's a different NBA game as well.
Well, it's also a different NBA game, but also Clint Capella is nowhere near as good as Stoudemire was.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the offense that has changed to Harden.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's changed to Harden and CP3. But I think them as a duo is the best duo, one of the best duos in basketball, strictly, especially this year due to their own record.
Yes, I'm very interested to see how they handle. I know Minnesota hasn't played that well defensively, and they're not that great of a team, but they do have talent.
They have so much talent.
They have a lot of talent. Obviously, I think they're going to sweep them, and I bet my entire college tuition on that. But I'm just interested.
And the Rockets will sweep the Timberwolves?
Yes, and Golden State, Oklahoma City, if that happens in the first round, I would love that.
Well, people will actually watch that just because of the story that nobody really cares about because Melo's not going to do anything. I've watched Melo for years. He's not going to do anything in the playoffs, especially if he's with them. They will lose. And Melo will be a non-factor. Paul George will go to the Lakers, and Russell Westbrook will be stuck by his lonesome with that fat contract in the middle of Oklahoma City, wondering, wow, I basically got left in the dust. I'm going to go get a bunch of points and never win a title.
And just final point, series that probably has the biggest implications for the rest of the league, other than the LeBron trying to win another championship, biggest game for the league that doesn't involve LeBron James, it's a New Orleans-Portland series. New Orleans doesn't win a playoff game. That is huge for Anthony Davis staying and Boogie Cousins staying there long term. That could mean a lot for the Western Conference. That could mean a lot for the rest of the league.
Paging Boston.
Exactly.
Danny Ainge.
Exactly.
I know you got something in the works. You can give me some picks. Or even Cleveland. Cleveland's got a pick now. You can go trade some other players for that. And it's 4:01. We got to go. Thank you, everyone who listened. This hopefully will be up by tonight. I am sorry I'm not really yelling. I'm kind of tired. I need a cup of coffee. My name is Lutz. South Philly Bill here is on my left.